Well, what an interview this is to do on Panthers TV. Many fans will already recognise the face. It's a huge welcome back to Sam Herr. Sam, how you feeling? You're back as a Panther.
Yeah, I'm smiling, man. I'm excited. It's been a crazy month. Let's call it a crazy month, and it's ended with me coming back to Nottingham. So I'm head over heels excited. My family's excited. So yeah, we're happy to be coming back.
Now, when you left, obviously it was in the pandemic year, and you said you were sad to be leaving, and there was always a chance you would love to come back. I think the club have made no secret that they've been after you in the past. Why this year? Why now?
Uh, um, my family, honestly. Um, yeah, for the past 3 seasons, I've been in Ravensburg, Germany. I've loved every second of it. We had a great time there. Was able to win a championship there, but simply talking with my wife and now having 2 kids, the conversation was life is starting to get pretty hard in Germany. It had nothing to do with the help that we were getting. It had nothing to do with anything other than just a family not from Germany living in Germany and it being pretty hard. So there was late nights and long conversations to be had with the wife. But ultimately, Taylor and I decided that it would be best to, you know, get our family back into an English speaking culture. And, once that was the conversation, Nottingham was always in the conversation at that point. So yeah, family is definitely the reason. That's what it is. And we knew from the first time we were there how much fun bringing a family to Nottingham can be. So we're really excited for it.
I mean, that's an interesting thing you say because obviously, a player of your ability probably has offers for many places. I think I'm right in saying other elite league clubs were interested. How much does that kind of bond that not only you have with Nottingham, but the fan base, how much did that lure you in?
Oh yeah, I mean, I felt the love, since day one when I went to Nottingham. I think it was at 5 years ago now. Um, yeah, I was vocal about it too. Right from the start is how cool and how special a place like Nottingham has the potential for being for an import player. Uh, and then yeah, then I got to experience it. They embraced me. Obviously, I personally had a little bit of success that year. Our team had some great success towards the end of the season, and we got into a good rhythm. Every fans, players, team, everything was kind of going our way. And then yeah, unfortunately, it was cut short with COVID, which obviously was a bitter pill to swallow. But yeah, not like Nottingham, the fan club. I have not experienced anything like it. Ever since I left, that's the truth. Even opponents. I haven't played a team that had a fan base like Nottingham has, and so that was a huge part of it. My wife Taylor talks constantly about how much fun she had at the games and how excited she is, and she's not coming. I'll tell you this: she's not coming to watch hockey. She's coming for the experience, and that's what the fans. That's what the fans bring. And yeah, it's a special night to play a hockey game in the Motor Point Arena, and so that was a huge factor coming back. I hockey became fun again when I played in Nottingham. It for a long time it started to feel like a job, something I had to do instead of something I wanted to do. And then you get to Nottingham and you play for you play for that city and you have the fans behind you selling out. And then you got the rivalry with Sheffield going and they're selling out. And yeah, it's an atmosphere, like I said, that I haven't seen since I left. So I'm really excited to get back to it.
You talk about that season you were last here, and you talk about how everything clicked, and it did, didn't it? And when the pandemic struck, you might have probably been the outsider. I think there was Sheffield, Coventry, one more, maybe Belfast or Cardiff. You were probably
Started.
Yeah, Cardiff, well remembered. You were maybe just a bit behind, but you were in the mix. So I know this was a cliche, but do you feel you'll never know there? So it's a bit of unfinished business there because you never know what that team could have achieved and done for this.
Yeah. Yeah, a little. Yeah, of course. I think there was a little bit of unfinished business. I will probably go on the record and say it would have been really hard to maybe beat Cardiff for that regular season championship that season. You know, I think we just we got into an an infamously slow start. Let's say that. You know, it was a really tough start of the season for us. But then once we found our groove, it was full steam ahead, and we put together a good run towards the end of that season. And we did have the schedule probably on our side to potentially make a run at the championship. Like I said, it would have been really hard. Cardiff was kind of solidified in first place, but we were the challengers that year, and that's the part that's hard to walk away from, is that I was on a team in Nottingham that could compete for a championship, and then you just have to up and walk away, you know. And it's not by your doing. COVID kind of forced everyone's hands that year, and a lot of players had a lot of questions after that season. So that's kind of what ultimately separated us. But yeah, I don't know if we would have won. I don't know if I would put our money on it. I was willing to give it a try. But yeah, I think that was Cardiff's year. But we were the team on the rise. We were the team competing against them. We were the team challenging. And like I said, then you just have to up and walk away from that. It was a bitter pill to swallow. It was a lot of what if questions that you don't know the answers to. And I guess we're going to try to answer some more questions this upcoming season. So,
I mean, I think a lot of us always say that, you could have won playoffs that year. Playoffs, the team were just peaking, weren't they, at that right time with those playoffs on the horizon?
yeah, I do think I think playoffs would have been ours. Playoffs in England, it's a little tough, obviously, because there's just on the weekend, there's just the one games against the opponents. So, obviously anything can happen. But yeah, I mean, we were definitely the best team the second half of that season. So, I would imagine, playoffs, we are probably the favorites going into it.
Just thinking about who was there, obviously the import players have all changed, but the British pack has kind of reunited in the case of Jordan was there, Josh
Yep.
Tetlow, Ollie Betteridge went away and are now back. I'm pretty sure Logan Nielsen with his dad connections you probably would have come across. How much you're looking forward to reuniting with British players?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the the bond that our team had when I was in Nottingham was pretty special. That was that was another thing that really helped that year, is that we had troubles in the locker room to start, with losing games. It's always hard. But then once we came together as a group, the bond that we had was probably our biggest weapon. We really were a strong knit group. We were really playing for each other, and we had a lot of belief. And you know, at the time, Ollie and Josh were a big part of that. I know Jordan probably wanted a little bit more responsibility that season, and he's found it since, which is great. Uh, but yeah, those three players are the exact type of people that you want on hockey teams. They're selfless people. They're hardworking. They're determined, and yeah, at the end of the day, they just love hockey too. So they have a great foundation, um, for a team with British players, because it's pretty hard too in this league because of how many imports the teams allow. So you need that foundation. It's I'm coming back with experience, of course, with Nottingham, but when these guys come over for their first year playing, and like I was my first year, we had Ollie leading the way. We had Rob Lakowitz leading the way, like both on and off the ice. They were the ones, taking us to restaurants, taking us to bars from team camaraderie and stuff like that, which is also a huge part of it. And so it's so important to have that foundation, because each team has, I mean, I'm probably getting the number wrong, but what, 7 or 8 British players on them, and so that's not the majority on a hockey team. So when they have strong attitudes and beliefs like Tetlow, Kelsall, and Ollie do, they make an impact, and you want to go be teammates with those type of players.
It's a quick return for you with a former teammate, and we only spoke to him a few days ago, it feels, in Matt Alfaro, and I saw a lot of fans saying, "Can you bring your line mate with you, Sam Herr?" And their dreams and wishes are coming true here. I mean, how great is that? Is that somebody I think you played on a line quite a bit last year? You're going to be back together, so soon.
Yeah, yeah. Alfie and I probably didn't play as much together as both of us honestly probably wanted to. I Matt knows how I feel about him. I'm a big fan of his game. He's I'll first talk about it. I guess I'll talk to him how he is as a human being. He's awesome. Like I was saying about Ollie and Tets and Kels, like he's right there too. He's a great human being. He's level-headed, good morals. I love his fiance Nikki is great too. He's they're genuine people, and you like working with genuine people. So it's great that I get to have another year with him, because too, the imports that I played with in Ravensburg, I got to spend more than 1 year with. The only one I didn't get to spend more than 1 year with was Matt. So it's great that we get to continue both of our journeys together in Nottingham. And then as a player, like I said, I wanted to play with him a decent amount last season. Probably didn't get to as much as I wanted to. I had a great line mate in Charlie Sereau over in Ravensburg, so we weren't really separating. But Matt's got jump, he's got the hands, he's got the pace of play that you're really looking for, and he adds a lot of grit to his game. It was really fun, to have him on our team. It was good to have him on our team. He's awesome in the face-off dots as well. So he's a huge addition. Whether I was coming back or not, Nottingham was really lucky to snag him, because he was not able to showcase his abilities as much as he probably would want to in Ravensburg. Limited a little bit with opportunity, line mates, stuff like that. It was great for him to move on to Nottingham. I was his number one supporter when he was talking about Nottingham, and then there was an opportunity that came along where it allowed me to come as well. So it's great. We're smiling, texting each other all the time right now, so we're happy. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I wonder how important you think it is about the clubs building a core. I mean, obviously, like the two of you are linked. You're linked to the British players. You know what it's like to be here. The couple of guys that they've signed already or re-signed, you may not know so much about, but Otto Niememann and Hugo Waugh, two great people, really great off the ice. And also the stats show how great they were on the ice, winning the awards, top point scorers. So you've kind of got that familiarity, the British players who are now becoming the core of the dressing room, and then someone like yourself who just knows Nottingham Panthers because of the time you spent here and really bought into it. So that seems to be like those jigsaw pieces are really coming together, don't you agree?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to meet everybody that I haven't met, in Nottingham. One of the reasons why I love playing hockey is because of the relationships you make with players. Some of my best friends for life are hockey players. Same with my wife, or some of her best friends that she's met, have come through hockey as well. So that's a big part of it, is meeting these great people like you said. And as far as the core goes, you when teams recruit, they try to pick up players that just make sense, right? They just, obviously, of course, you want great talent when you recruit, but that doesn't tell the whole story. So when you start to get to know players, and you start to get to know who they are off the ice and on the ice as well, and you get to start, now you take it to the next level, and you start pairing players together, and then you're making line combinations, and you're making D combinations, and and power plays and penalty kills, all with the idea that these are the type of people that you want on your team, it becomes dangerous because it just allows for teams to start believing. It gives the coach belief that he's got the right players to do the job. It's got management believing that they got the right players. And yeah, that's, like you said, that's something that you can start to build off of. Yeah, it's you put together these pieces, you got the big pieces to the puzzle, and then you start to fill in the rest, and next thing you know, the puzzle's done. So, it's yeah, it sounds like we'll use the words core, like you said. It sounds like the core group, no matter how big it is. It could be 5 players, it could be 15 players. It doesn't matter. It's just when you get the right guys, and what it sounds like we're doing right now, and it can lead to something special. So yeah, exactly. We just got to start playing now, right? That's all. So.
Just a couple of questions to end. One about winning, and obviously you did this with Ravensburg a couple of years ago in the playoffs. Just talk me through how special that was, and how much I guess that makes the fire burn bright to do it somewhere where your heart is, as in Nottingham.
Yeah. I mean, that was a really special year. I mean, when we might have touched on a little bit on it earlier, where we were talking about interest from other teams in the EIHL, and I'll be the first one to say that, Pete Russell, playing for Pete Russell, is pretty high on that list. And, there was potential with Cardiff for Pete. I value him. I was really, really lucky and excited to get linked up with him in Ravensburg. So when his deal to go to Augsburg after our first season together, it was pretty tough because he was building something in Ravensburg. We were trending in the right direction. So yeah, but then when he came back, it gave our group belief again. And then we went on a tear in playoffs, and we was able to win a championship. And that was a year that we probably weren't the favorites, with Pete, the way we were playing entering playoffs. We were, relatively at the top of the table. I know we finished second, but I think we were playing the second best. But Castle that year was on a different level. They just were, and they had a disappointing playoff semifinal, one that they probably shouldn't have lost, but they did. So it opened the door for us to take over. And that's the thing about playoffs, is how unpredictable it is. So that's another point. Like you don't know how it's gonna go until you actually start playing. So the team that can believe is the most dangerous team. And that's what we had that year, and it led to a championship. And yeah, if I can draw on anything to help it out over in Nottingham, I'm going to. We'll see how it goes. Nottingham and the English League is a little different, just with the regular season being the big championship. I personally think it makes it more fun because you're competing for a championship on day one. There's not many sports that can say they're competing for a championship come October 1st, basically. So but yeah, that year was special. Hoping to draw on it for the remainder of my time. And yeah, that was a good year of my life. We had the team had a lot of fun. My wife was able to be with me during the or the championship celebrations. We were able to get a little bit of babysitting with the kid, and so it was a great time of my life. Learned a lot, both the playoff preparation as well as what it takes to win a championship. And yeah, if I can help in any way over here, I'm happy to. Yeah,
you just reminded me with Pete there, because he won that championship with you, and the GB camp was just getting underway, and got that picture of him winning that playoff trophy, and 24 hours later he was in the GB camp. Literally no time, I think, to celebrate for him. He went straight from winning the DL playoffs to lead GB. Just finally, obviously changing coach since you were last here. I just wonder how much you've managed to chat to Danny Stewart. And I've already reminded him for you that you ruined his Christmas when you scored 4 goals on that.
Oh yeah, that was coming.
I think it was one of the most but still Panthers fans talk about the game now because I think he
Yeah.
scored 3 in the third period and 1 in overtime. But we did have a giggle about that in the interview where he goes, "I know where you're heading with this." But obviously
Yeah.
somebody you would have faced, and I wonder how much you've had a chance to chat with him and Omar.
Yeah, I honestly forgot that I was against Coventry
Yeah.
that game until just now. Yeah, I've talked to Omar a couple of times. I've talked to Danny. I've just talked to him once. Looking forward to obviously continuing the talk. It's been a busy 2 weeks. This whole process of switching from Ravensburg to Nottingham has been, the focus has been there as much more so than moving forward. But yeah, I have been able to talk with Danny and Omar. I love what they're saying. Danny, I talked to him a little bit about Coventry, and what I remember from his time in Coventry. Like that year, they were a second half team just like us. They were a fast paced hockey team. They had good lefty forwards from what I remember, and they were good at getting them the puck. And their goalies stood on their head, and they played up the ice quick. And I like that style. I mean, and he knows that. I've talked to him about it, but the focus wasn't too much really on hockey. We'll get to the hockey part of it. It was just talking about the excitement of the opportunity that we have now, and Danny's walking into a little similar situation as I am. Obviously, I'm returning and he's not, but we're both walking into new situations at, later points of our, not later points of our career, but, after being established for a little bit in the pro world, now going to a new situation in Nottingham with Matt as well, too. He's walking into the same situation. So there's excitement, and it's re-energized, and it's re-energizing our careers. That's something that we kind of talked about. We drew on each other. He's excited for a new challenge. He's probably got a little bit bigger of a fan base to deal with than he did in Coventry, so he's excited about that. And like I said, I to be honest with you, I thought Ravensburg, I was going to be there for a little bit, and I'm not saying I wasn't excited to stick around Ravensburg, but it was a little routine, if we're being honest. So to now, get back with Nottingham, it's a new challenge for me. So it's, there's a little bit more pep in my step, now than there probably was at the beginning of summer. So yeah, I've talked to Danny. Danny's excited. I'm excited. Omar is excited. Obviously, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's been fun to chat with. I look forward to meeting him in person. He seems like a very outgoing human being. So I'm glad he had to have a lot of patience during this process as well. So I'm really glad that he was able to work with me and the Ravensburg Tower Stars, and his patience probably got this deal done ultimately. So good. Everything's been great so far. We're excited. I'm probably going to start getting a lot more information now about the team and the process of moving over, and how the year is going to look and stuff. That'll be the goal for the next 2 months or so before this season gets going. But yeah, so far so good. We're all excited. And yeah, I just want to get this going, to be honest with you.
Just finally, you talk about excitement, and these people don't always get talked about, but I think that they're people that I looked at some of the interviews you'd done, and you'd mentioned the off-ice stuff before. A lot of the off-ice stuff remains in place, and especially around the dressing room. I know people like Goody, Razor Ray, Simon, Andy Dale, Laura Joe, Mitch now.
Yeah.
On the equipment side, again, that's another bond. We talk openly about players, but those people behind the scenes, and I know they're people that you've single-handedly mentioned before. I think it was in one of your exit interviews.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing about like the I don't want to call them support staff, because they're part of it just as much as everybody, but a lot of people use the word support staff, like equipment managers, like trainers, like even media, like everything. Like besides the management and the coaches, everybody kind of falls over under that term support staff. And no, nobody realizes outside, sometimes even management doesn't realize how much importance you need to put on the support staff, because they're constantly there. The equipment, like, they're constantly there. So they're the ones helping you. They're the ones helping you do your job. And if they are great, which they are, it makes our job significantly easier and honestly better. So to have the staff and the people around that we will have is amazing, because and yeah, I've already talked to Goody as well, a little bit, and just, yeah, getting able to deal with people like that are so willing to help, and that are also so invested in the Nottingham Panthers. They want to see the team do well just as much as you do, or I do. And yeah, that it makes the experience just so much better. I've been on teams where, maybe the equipment manager is a little, a stickler for things here and there, and it just introduces unnecessary drama sometimes, and then the guys in the locker room start talking bad, and it's just bad situations when, again, when the support staff and the players don't really interact well. So it's, that's one thing that Nottingham has going for them, and I'm really excited to get back with, because call it a community, maybe it's cliche, but the whole Nottingham Panthers community is just willing to do what it takes for the organization to thrive. And those are organizations you want to be a part of, and those are organizations players want to play for. So it's great that I get to experience this again. Yeah.
Brilliant. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks very
you
much,
too.
and we'll speak to you in a few months.
Yeah. Can't wait to be out there.